Hey everybody, I hope you all can hear me. I am trying to log in right now so I can see the chat box and make sure that everybody is on. If you can hear me, why don't you go ahead and start introducing yourself in the chat box. You'll see it down there on the lower right. You can click it and it'll pop up along the side of your screen. And you guys can start telling me where you're from and letting me know what your biggest challenge with time management is. Sorry guys, just having a little bit of difficulty real quick. Never fails on these. All right, here we go. See, a couple people will. Oh, gosh darn it. Go ahead and get started. So time management is, it's always one of the biggest things that I hear from solopreneurs and entrepreneurs in general, that it's just one of those really difficult things to get your head around, especially if you're working from home with small kids. And what I really want to do is kind of give you guys a glimpse into what I do and how I manage it with 5 little kids, homeschooling, multiple businesses, and everything that goes along with that. So why don't you guys just take a minute and if you haven't already put it in the chat box, put in what your biggest struggle is, either the thing that you feel is taking up too much time and it shouldn't, or something that you really wish you could find the time to do. Let me know what your biggest one on either side of that is. All right, well, if you have gotten that down, then I kind of want to launch in and tell you guys a little bit about me real quick and about my story and kind of how I came to be here talking to you today. So as I mentioned a little bit ago, I am a mom of 5 young kids. Our oldest is 7 and our youngest is 5 months. Actually 5 months today, now that I'm looking at the calendar. So we definitely have a very, very busy household. We have recently started homeschooling our oldest, which just kind of adds yet another layer of things I have to do every day. And running multiple businesses and taking care of them and making sure that I'm still a present mom and wife really makes it so that I have to be very conscious about my time. If we're not conscious about our time, it controls us rather us than controlling it. A lot of, like our money and our budget does as well. And so there are 2 things that you really have to be careful and you have to budget them. And a lot of people know that about money, but they don't realize that about time. So we're going to kind of go on a little bit of a journey today and talk about how many hours in the day we have and what we're doing with those and how we can tweak that to do what we want to do so that we feel fulfilled and content. Some of you are going to discover some things about how you're spending your time that probably aren't going to make you very happy. And that's just kind of part of the journey and part of getting a handle on things. So we are going to go ahead and jump into that here in a minute. So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to, about 3 years ago when my twins were born. Our twins they'll be 3 in April. So before they were born and the first couple of months of them with them, I was an extremely overwhelmed, always exhausted, mental breakdown kind of mom and wife. And it was hurting me. It was hurting my marriage. It was hurting my kids. I was punishing myself for everything, which, saying that out loud, sounds really crazy. And at the time, I even had a friend telling me, you've got to stop doing this. But I just didn't get it. I was seeing all of these moms on Pinterest, on Facebook, that were making these great meals for their kids and their husbands, and packing these awesome lunches, and they were doing all these outside activities with their kids, gymnastics and this and that, and they were volunteering everywhere. And why can't I know? And that was one of the things. Well, I work from home, so I have time to do this, this, and this. And my working from home meant that I was spending so much time working, I didn't have time to do anything else. So I was like, how are these women doing this? Like, how do they do it? And how can I do it too? Because I don't want to be like this. I felt like I was chained to my computer, and it was just crazy. And again, I was beating myself up for it, and I always felt guilty, and then it would just spiral back around because I didn't know how to fix that. And I really wanted that to end. So I really started looking into, okay, these moms that I see doing everything, how do they do it? And well, the first thing I realized was, A, I wasn't alone in wondering that, and B, we're really seeing highlight reels. When we see Pinterest, when we see Facebook, no one's showing what's really happening. You're seeing the highlight reels. Everybody's showing the things they did accomplish. No one's talking about what they didn't get done. No one's talking about, oh, well, I wish I would have done this. They're showing what they did get done. And maybe they just had a really awesome week or an awesome day, and that's the highlight reel you're seeing. These aren't superwomen. Okay, there are a few of them out there, but for the most part, these aren't superwomen. And they have the same struggles and the same guilt that you do. You're just seeing their highlights. You're just seeing the good days. And you kind of have to let go of that and stop beating yourself up over it, and then figure out what to actually do from there. But you have to let go of that guilt and that assumption that you should be doing it all to do that first. The next thing you kind of have to realize is work-life balance is a total and complete myth. Like, it's an absolute myth. Things are not always going to be in balance, and you're not going to find that balance because it's not just work and life. It's work, husbands, kids, church, whatever it is. It's like an 8-arm scale, and seriously, how are you going to get an 8-arm scale to balance? It's an insane amount of juggling that's just not realistic. Work-life balance really should be more like, I don't know, it's a journey with a roadmap. And all of these different things that are part of your life, all these puzzle pieces are states. And sometimes you're going to drive back through and visit these states repeatedly. Some states you might not get to very often, but they're always there in the back of your mind. And you just kind of have to realize that sometimes one thing is going to be more important than the other things. There are weeks when I have huge work deadlines, or the kids have a lot of activities, and one or the other is going to take priority. And that's okay, because that's how it has to be. It's a season, and it's just going to be like that, as long as you're making sure that over time they're balancing out. You can't worry about them balancing out all the time. And it really does get that way here. There will be weeks when, as soon as my husband walks in that door from work, I'm here in my office because I have work to do. And we have an understanding that sometimes that's how life's going to be, because it's propelling us towards our big goals. And, maybe next week I will take a couple days completely off and spend time with my family and catch up on that and, slowly bring it back into balance. But it happens. And there are seasons like that. Just like when he has to travel for work, his balance is swung. It's definitely not single-sided, and it's just always going to be like that, and we know that, and we know that once it's helping us towards our goal, we have an end goal. It's not pointless, and it's not crazy that it's going to be like that. And it sucks. It really does sometimes, and you get that guilt, but you learn that this is just a moment. This is just a season. And while one thing or the other has to be the priority now, we can always make up for it later, as long as we don't wait too long to make up for it. And having that understanding with your spouse or whoever it is that it's impacting is a big, big, big piece to that. So I want you guys to make sure that you have out a piece of paper and a pen, because we're going to work through a couple things here as I talk to you guys about how I manage things and how I do things. So, okay. First of all, in a week, we all have 168 hours. Okay? 168. Nobody has more, nobody has less, unless you know some kind of magical voodoo that I do not. We all have 168 hours. So let's assume that you're not a full-time work-at-home, stay-at-home parent. So that brings you down to 128 hours. Let's go way out on a limb here and assume that you're getting a full 8 hours of sleep every night. That's going to bring you down, let's see, that's 56 hours a week. That's going to bring you down to 72 hours left. 72 hours, assuming you have a full-time job and are getting 8 hours of sleep a night. You have 72 hours left in your week. So let's say that cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids, the other stuff you kind of have to do, takes up another 32 hours. That leaves you with time, 40 hours a week. That is time for a whole other full-time job. What are you doing with those hours? Where do they go? Take a second and write down on your piece of paper everything that you do during that extra 72 hours. If you're not at your 40-hour job and you're not sleeping, what are you doing? You kind of try and think about over a space of a week, how long do you spend these activities? Are you poking around in Facebook groups that don't have to do with work? If you work from home, some of us have a lot that have to do with work. But how often are you just scrolling Facebook? How often are you playing, oh gosh, whatever the current game is that used to be Candy Crush? I don't even know anymore because I don't play them, but whatever the game is now that I'm seeing for everybody, I haven't gotten into these yet, obviously. How often are you playing random games? How much quality time are you spending with your family every week? How much time are you watching TV? How much time are you spending scrolling Pinterest? Write down all these things. How much time are you spending doing things you really enjoy that you feel bring value to your life? Whether it's scrapbooking or some kind of hobby or volunteer work, how much time are you spending at church? Write down all of these things and how much time are you spending on them over the course of a week? That's a big chunk of time you need to think about. That's 72 hours a week. It's the equivalent of what, 3 whole days? So take just a moment and write down, what are you doing with this time every week? And really think about it and really be honest with yourself, even though that might hurt just a little bit. Okay, give you guys just a minute to do that. Okay, so keep scratching if you're still writing things out, but if you're done writing them out, which you probably aren't, but go back and look down this list. Circle the things on there that you either don't like doing or probably shouldn't be doing. The things you wish were not on the list. Go down those and circle those. Okay. For me, the top one is cleaning and grocery shopping. The whole meal planning, grocery shopping thing, it takes hours and hours and hours, especially since we've recently gone gluten-free, and I just don't like doing it anymore. And cleaning, I like having a clean house. I don't like the actual cleaning. Organizing, yes. Cleaning, not so much. But circle anything that's on that list that you really just don't like doing or feel shouldn't be on there. Now, there's 3 things you can do with these things on your list that you're circling. A, you can suck it up and do them anyways. These are things you really don't have a choice on. You kind of got to feed your family. You kind of have to clean your house. You know, there's certain things that there's not much you can do about. The second thing you can do is delegate them. And this is my favorite one with cleaning. My older 2 kids, well, even in my twins, everybody but the baby is capable of helping out in some aspect. I discovered my husband actually doesn't mind doing things like vacuuming and helping fold and put away laundry. So guess what tasks he gets to do? And I know as moms, women in general, we're usually pretty bad about delegating. We kind of get in this rut of, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. Well, you kind of have to lower your standards on what is right. And this was really tough for me, really, really tough for me. I over the last year, started letting my, let's see, they're now 7 and 4-year-olds put away their own laundry. And kind of makes my OCD itch a little bit because they don't hang their stuff up facing the right directions and stuff's not really folded and put in the dresser quite right, but it's good enough. The stuff's not on the floor, it's in the drawers and they can find it. They're kids' clothes, so I don't worry terribly about them being wrinkled, but I mean, it's jeans and jammies that are in the drawers, so who really cares, right? With school uniforms, when we did have those, I was a little bit pickier about those, but for the most part, they get to put away their own laundry. I wash it, I dry it. If they're having a good week, I might help them fold it, but the putting it away is all on them. Sometimes Daddy helps too. Sorry, baby's in here asleep, so if you hear crying, I'm sorry, we'll get her. So you kind of have to let go of some of that perfection. My husband may not put the dishes away quite how I want them, but hey, he's saving me time and it's getting done. I don't have to do it. So you kind of have to let go a little bit and decide on what is important that it gets done your way and what just matters that it gets done. And delegate these things out. One of my very first income goals that I had was to make enough money to hire a cleaning lady. And actually, for some reason, I still haven't done that, even though I hit that income goal. I really ought to get on that and find somebody because I don't want to do it. The deep cleaning stuff just creates me to find other things I would rather do. So I'm going to hire that out. So if there is something on your list that you don't like doing, try that. Seriously, try that. If you don't like doing the carpool, the pickup drop-off for school or whatever, see if there's other parents that you can switch off with. So maybe you only have to do it once a week instead of every single day. Find out what your spouse doesn't mind doing. Find out what your kids are capable of doing. And figure out how to cut some of that stuff off your list and out of your time blocks. The third thing we can do with those things that you circled is just stop doing them. If it's not benefiting you, blessing you, helping you reach your long-term goals, why are you doing it? You can, set a timer, and there are lots of apps out there and stuff to keep you from the random scrolling on Facebook or blocking sites altogether during certain hours. You can shut off the TV. It's an amazing thing if you're realizing that you're spending 16 hours a week watching TV. Awesome little power button. Works great. If there's an outside commitment that you just don't feel is bringing value into your life anymore, drop it. I never could get into PTO and that kind of thing. And I have a couple friends that constantly whine and complain about either something that's taking up time or causing them stress that is some kind of, like MOPS or a PTO type thing. If it's not bringing you value, say no. Just go ahead and cut it completely out because it's not serving you. And yes, there is something to be said for doing things for other people, but at the same time, if it's causing us and you're not doing it with a joyful heart, you don't need to be simple. And I know it's so hard to say no, but you'll thank yourself later when you realize all those extra hours you have. So now I want you to write, and as part of this little bit, I want you to take on that same piece of paper and write down a list of things that you're giving yourself permission not to do. And this can be from little itty bitty things to big things. So as simple as giving yourself permission to turn off notifications on your phone so you don't feel the need to respond to every email every time you're having a Facebook notification. You don't have to reply immediately to messages. Just give yourself permission to say no, to turn those notifications being available 24/7 to people. It can be as big as saying no to new commitments, no new church groups, no new school committees, whatever it is. Give yourself permission to say no. And by writing it down, you're giving yourself that permission, and you're reminding yourself that you don't have to take on extra things that you just don't want to do. You'll be surprised how freeing that is. I thought it was crazy the first time that someone told me to write a list of things you're not going to do. And actually, she still gives me this advice at least once a month when I start going a little bit crazy of, oh my God, I have all this stuff to do. The big ones that I have done for this year is I gave myself permission to say no to new design clients. I'm taking a few here and there, but overall, my new passion is helping you all and doing these workshops and doing this sort of training thing, which as many hours left to devote to design clients. I used to feel really, really bad about that and still take them and try and squeeze them in. And it's just really come down to I can't. And I needed permission to say no and not feel guilty about it, because that's no longer working towards my long-term goals. And it was freeing. And I don't feel quite as guilty anymore when I say no, because I have that and I've written it down and told myself that. So writing permission to say no. Oops, sorry guys, not meaning to make it wiggle. And then next I'm going to wish there was a hobby you spent more time doing. If you wish there was more time with your kids, more time with your spouse, more time doing whatever fun thing you do for yourself is, write that down. Even if it's working on your dream, working on part of your business, what do you wish you could spend more time doing? Now, I'm going to caution you here. Do not write down things you should be doing. You should be spending more time doing, because if you're starting that sentence with should, or should is anywhere in that sentence, it doesn't belong on this list. We're ditching shoulds, okay? Because if you're saying should instead of I want to, then that's probably somebody else's expectations that you're putting on yourself, not your expectations. And this is about you. This is about you, and this is about your family. This is not about what other people think you should be doing. There's no, oh, well, I should really decorate for this holiday. I should be doing more of these fun Pinteresty crafts with my kids. If you're putting should in it, you don't want to do it, and you don't need to have it on this list. Plain and simple. If you said should when it popped into your head, don't write it down. Okay, so that was a lot. I want you to take a real quick look down that list of things that you're writing right now about things you want to do, and pick the 2 ones that are most important to you right now. They may not be the ones that are most important overall, but they're the most important right now. So, for instance, my list of things and goals and stuff that we have is we're going to be moving in the near future, about 6 months. And so I could write down that I want to start working more on that kind of stuff, but that's not really the most important thing right now. Like, it's important that we're going to move and it's happening and we're going to have to pack, but doing so right now just isn't top priority. Even though that's one of the bigger things we have going on this year, it's not going to serve me to be working on that right now. While some of my business tasks and growing my business and some fun stuff with the kids currently really outranks that, even though they're probably smaller on the list overall. So really think about what's important and most useful right now and pick 2 of those things. And then think about what you can do for them, like your very first action steps you need to take for them. And I'm going to go ahead and bet that between both of those tasks and the first action steps you need to take for them will take under an hour this week. And you could probably get those done in under an hour this week. And now that you've done that little time budget, I bet you have more than an hour this week to devote to them. No more excuses for not working on this stuff, guys. You have the time. You just need to make sure you're consciously using it and budgeting it. So I want you to have those action steps kind of in front of you before we move into talking about the tools I use to budget. Because right now we're going through the methodology of your time every week and saying no and all that. But once you've kind of figured that out, now you see this time, how are you going to spend this time and make sure it's productive? Okay, so I'm actually going to switch to screen sharing, and I'm going to show you guys one of my favorite tools that I use for doing this. And I kind of use a hybrid system because, like I said, I have 5 kids, we homeschool, multiple businesses, and a lot of projects going on. And so I kind of use a combined method of tools, and I want to show you guys how I do that. And actually, before I switch to screen sharing, I want to show you my, my key piece to my system, and that is my day designer. This planner, and for some of you that have been following me for a while, you know that I actually designed and sold a planner in 2013. And it was a great planner. I loved it. I designed it for something that I needed at the time. And then when I started looking for some inspiration to design in 2015, I actually found this one. It's Whitney English is the designer. It's called The Day Designer. And it was just perfect. It was exactly what I was wanting to create. And it had already been done. I actually closed down my the portion of my shop that's planners. I still do a lot of printables. And I bought and used somebody else's planner because it is, oh my God, it's perfect. Kind of flip open here real quick and you guys can kind of see. Hopefully, it's a daily sheet instead of a weekly, which is exactly what works for me. And I actually was using a daily sheet notepad that I had designed, but her system actually works out great for me. And it's pretty. It's really pretty. And pretty makes you use it more. So this is one piece that I use in with my system. And we will kind of talk about that a little bit more here in a minute as I put that back together. And so I'm going to switch you guys over to screen share so that we can go over my favorite tool, which is Asana. It and my planner are what completely make me stay on task and everything. Okay, so you're going to go to, okay, screen share. Okay, you guys can see my screen now. Okay. So Asana is my absolute favorite tool for this. And I'm going to log out real quick so you guys can see this. It's asana.com. And so it's free. If you're using this as an individual and not as a company or corporation, you should not to pay for Asana. You can create an account. I suggest using your Google account if you have a Gmail account. It just makes it the easiest. So we're going to log in here real quick. Sorry, it takes a minute to load sometimes on my computer. Okay, so this is Asana, and I'm actually going to pop over here. So you have three portions of the screen in Asana. You have this left side, which is like your menu. You have your center, and you have your right. And actually, the right side can collapse down. You'll see this happen sometimes. And so this is really organized by, they call these workspaces. And you can create different ones. And so like I have a personal projects workspace, which is my businesses, my blog, all of my kind of personal things. We have Beam It Media, which is where like I do everything for the workshops, everything for the program we're designing, everything that I communicate with my business partner, Amanda, for Beam It Media. And then I'm currently planning the Midwest Influencers Conference, and so my team for that, we have our own workspace. This just kind of keeps things organized so the people I bring into these projects don't get distracted by other stuff I have on here. I can always go into my overview and actually get to see them all at once, which is really nice, but normally I only want to see one at a time because I'm, focusing. And focus is the biggest thing I hear for anybody that works from home, in particular for those that are entrepreneurs and aren't working for somebody else. So when you sign up and you're using Asana and you set up your first thing, you're really going to start out with this personal projects one. And it's really simple to create. When you first sign up, it will walk you through creating your workspace. So when you start this, you're actually going to start on projects. And actually, if you guys watch these other panes, you'll actually get to see a little bit more. You start a project. And then it gives you tasks here. And you can just start typing, hit enter, and these are your tasks. And you can see that there's little check boxes over here. And each task will then have on the right pane, which is your details pane. To get these little headings, you just type a task, put a colon, and it automatically turns it into a heading. So you can organize it that way too. If you click the little arrows, it pops up over here and gives you the details for that. And so you can, let's go back up here. You have your task name. You can assign it to someone. So I have myself, my virtual assistant, and my husband, because he's working with me on some of our business stuff now, that are assigned to and have access to all of my projects that are in this workspace. And so I can assign something to each person if it needs to be. You can select a due date for it. You can actually enter little tasks that go into the big task if you need to break it down further. And then each of these also can be assigned, have its own separate due date, etc. So I'll actually show you that on my editorial calendar here in a minute, a little bit more. You can add attachments to a task. So I use this with Google Drive a lot. So if I have, well, like my husband on our editorial calendar here, that's the easiest way to show you guys this. Okay, so my husband has a post, and you can actually see where he's attached his draft for me. And so it's assigned to him. You can see where we've commented on it and talked over here about it. This keeps me out of my email, which helps keep me focused, because the next thing I know, I check my email. See, this little number over here bothers me. I don't know. I hope you guys can see it. Yeah, you can. I hate having unopened emails. So this allows me to shut my email off so I can't even see that, because we can communicate through here and I don't have to worry about missing anything. So we can talk about it, and I will probably go back and review this and let him know, hey, I need, you know, these images or these links or whatever, and I don't even have to touch my email or my phone to tell him that, so I don't get distracted because I'm still within the project. And it just really, really helps keep everything streamlined like that. On some of my posts, you'll see, like we actually have little subtasks in here that say write and schedule posts, submit links. A lot of them all have other ones of, you know, I need to research a certain topic for it, or I need to contact somebody to be interviewed for it, or, you know, that I have a question on it, or that I need to find an affiliate link for something, and I'll just create these little things. And then normally at the end of it, what I'll do is I'll also have promote post. I can go drop that over here, assign it to my virtual assistant, and it will email her and let her know that I've assigned her a task so that she can come in and see it. One of the great little bonuses about Asana is you can also see it by calendar. So if you have tasks that are due, and of course this task doesn't have any. Let's see, surely one of these other ones does though. No, it doesn't look like I have. My personal projects, I don't always have due dates on them, so they don't really show up. But you can see by date on the calendar what things you have due. And it emails me every morning with the tasks that are coming up first. So if I have anything due past due, if I have anything due that day, and then, you know, it'll show me the next couple days worth of what's due and what needs to be done. And it'll show me anything that doesn't have a date on it as well. So every morning, if I check my email first thing, I get that list of what needs to be done. And I can actually go up here to my tasks too and see them. It pulls them from all projects, and you can see how it pulls. These are past due, these are due here very quickly, and then it shows me all the way through the end of the month what's due. And there's different ways you can have it show what you've recently completed. You can have it separate them out by projects. There's lots of functionality here, but it just really keeps everything in one place. And like I said, most importantly, it keeps me out of my email. So you kind of have that. You can attach, like I said earlier, you can attach documents to it, which is really, really, really handy so that you're not looking for things. It'll let you attach from Dropbox, Google Drive, Box if you use that, or straight from your computer. Really, really handy, especially if you're working with somebody else, or just so you're not constantly looking through things on your computer. If you have a post and you already have a couple images you know you want to use, you can drop them right here and access them. If you've created a flyer and then you want to make sure your virtual assistant can get it to promote whatever, you attach it right here. For our conference that we're doing, as we get our speakers lined up and their contracts done, the contract gets attached so that we can see, hey, look, that's been completed. It was just kind of handy to be able to have it all right here in one spot. Let's see. You can also quickly assign things over here to somebody rather than having to go all the way into the task itself, which is really handy. So I know this can be kind of overwhelming when you're looking at using a new system. So let's talk just a minute about how to actually use Asana when you know you're going to need it. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to define the project and set a deadline. You need to go beyond giving it a name. You need to know exactly what it is that you're outlining here. You need to know where you want to end up with it, and you need to set a date. So for example, this workshop, I knew the date that I was going to have the workshop. It's got the date. And then I'm able to kind of work backwards from that to set the due dates for the pieces that I put into the task. But that way, I've I have an end game. And then after that, you want to kind of figure out what the moving parts of the project are. You want to brainstorm all the tasks that are going to go into it, and then you want to organize the tasks, and you want to put all of that information in here. And so this would be where you come over here and just start typing out all of your tasks. Don't worry about putting them in a certain order or anything. Just start typing out all the different things that you know you're going to have to do within this project. Okay. You want to capture everything. You may not know everything at this point, but you want to write down everything you can possibly think of. And like I said, it's really simple. You just start typing over here, and then you just hit enter, keep typing, hit enter, keep typing, hit enter, keep typing until you've completely emptied your brain of all the things that you can think of that you need to do within that task. And then you're going to go back and organize the tasks. You are going to figure out if this is going to be something that's chronological, whether it's, you know, an event and you know you need to do this a week before, you need to do this 2 weeks before, or sequential phases. Like if you're working on rebranding, you might want to survey your audience and then decide on new topics, and then, you know, come up with your editorial calendar based on those new topics, and, you know, all of those, the sequential steps. Or say you're writing an ebook, then you're going to use something like stages of completion. You're going to, you know, do your outline, do your first draft, do your second draft. And so what you'll do once you've decided that is you'll come back over here and you'll create the little headings, you know, by typing your thing and hitting colon afterwards so that it turns into the little heading. And then you can click over here and you can redrag these as necessary to get them all organized and in the right spots. Okay? So it's really easy to come in here and get them organized once you've brainstormed them. You don't have to retype anything. It's just click and drag, click and drag. Once you've got them all in order, this is where we talked about attachments, and you can go back and attach all your supporting documents. So you finished that draft of your ebook. You can come in here, attach it, and assign, you know, create a task assigning it to whoever's editing it, and it will send it to them. And they've got the link right there. They don't have to go hunting for it. They can give you your feedback right here in the comments on that task, and you're right there. You can tag just like you would on Facebook in here. So let's say that we're working on a certain project, but I need to reference another project. I can reference, see the weekly, see it'll start popping up things that you can, you know, it says you, oh, look, you can create a new task. You can, you know, tag to something that's here. You can tag other team members on here. Lots and lots of different functionalities here. And you can just do that. So it kind of gives you an easy way to cross-reference things. If you're, you know, working on launching a program, launching an ebook, you can add the links to the sales page or the registration page, or, you know, if you're asking your assistant to go through and you know, add something to a page, you can put them in here, and it will, it's a live link. You know, the other people in here can click on that link and it'll take them to whatever page you're talking about. So it can be really, really handy. And so when you get this project going, you just want to pull in all this supporting information. So once you have done that, let's see here, you're going to create a timeline. So now you've got all of these tasks in here. You've got all the supporting information you currently have. And so we're going to go back and set the due dates on all of those tasks now. So you're going to go back through it, and you're going to work backwards through your project and make sure that you're setting all these milestones. You set the due dates and the projects on each task, and that'll make them show up in calendar view as well as soon as they have a due date. And you know, that's all in here. You set your due date here, and you'll get that all done. And again, this will make sure that it emails you every day with the tasks that you need to be working on. So you can check that email once, get your list in front of you, make sure that, you know, you've budgeted the time for that, and then you won't have to go back to your email at all because it's all right here. And, you know, again, or you can just check it in My Tasks or however you want to do it. And it will make sure that your team is up to date too. So you're going to go through and you're going to assign it. And let's see. And again, if you've got other people, you want to make sure that they are on the same page as well. And then as you complete tasks, you can check them off over here and make them go away so that you're not staring at them anymore. You do want to make sure that you have some structure to make sure that you're staying on task and you're not setting this all up for nothing. One of the ways that I do this is, and see here, you can see where I've tagged another project that's over here in my list, is I have a weekly schedule master template. And what this does is, this is just my template, and you can actually use templates. You can click over here and it'll copy the project, and then you just change the name and date, and you can see where I've done that here. I've copied this and changed the date, and I actually filled it in for that week. But this gives me my starting point for the week. And so I can type in my biggest 3 things that need to be done over that week. And then I have set time because I know about how much time I have every day, so that I know that my top priority task, okay, on Monday I'm going to spend an hour working on that. I've spent my hour on it, I can click that off. I know that I need to reach out to some clients and some team members and do some pitching. I've got my time built in for that. And so these are my things that I have to do every week, and I want to make sure that I'm getting them done. Sorry guys, give me just a second. Sorry guys, that's just part of working at home. All right, baby is with daddy. And so like I said, I have my template here of every day throughout the week and what I want to spend time working. This ensures that I'm not overbooking myself, that I'm paying attention to how much time I have during the week. And I can easily click through and say, oh wait, I scheduled, an hour of client time on Wednesday, so I'm only going to have 60 minutes of time to work on previous client stuff, because I can automatically see where I need to take that away from. I can I can add in my new task here that I have a client call. I know it's going to take 60 minutes. And so I got to deduct that 60 minutes from here, and it's all balanced back out. And that way I know throughout the week exactly how much time I have for the different things, because I know exactly how long certain things are going to take me. I could just click through and click them off as I'm done, during each day. So that really helps me stay on task and make sure that I'm doing the same thing. And how I use this with my planner is, my planner is what I use throughout the day, every day really. So the night before, I will pop in, I will look at Asana, see what I have for that day, and copy that into my planner so that I can also check it off there. And in my planner, I have a habit of kind of breaking them down into smaller tasks. And I also put both household, my household, my kids, my finances, and my work stuff in my planner, where Asana typically just breaks down the work part. So it's a lot. It seems really complicated, but really once you get going in this, it is so simple because everything is right there. It just becomes a part of your daily routines. And routines are so important for keeping yourself on track and, anything like that. And so you build this in. You know that when you wake up in the morning, you get that one chance to check on email. And actually, I've trained myself to not check email until about 9 o'clock. I'm working on not logging into Facebook and not checking my email until 9 a.m. So when I get up at 6, I have my planner page that I filled out the night before, and I have Asana, and that's how I decide what I'm doing. And this kind of goes back into urgent and important, which is really, really, really a big deal on how you prioritize your tasks. What I found was when I wake up and check email and Facebook first, I start putting out fires. And I'm working on things that are urgent. And urgent doesn't equate to important. Not one single bitty bit does urgent equate to important. And what I was finding was that I would spend my solid chunk of hours that I knew I had set aside to work, whether it's my time when the sitter's here or my precious, precious hours before the kids get up in the morning. And I was wasting that time on things that were urgent, and then the important stuff was sitting there completely untouched. And that meant that I was not working on the things that would propel me towards my goals. I was just working on the things that popped up. And while those things that popped up might, sometimes factor in, most of the time, they weren't helping me towards my goals. And so by taking those out of the equation, not checking Facebook and not checking email in the mornings, I was able to sit down, look at the important stuff, the priorities that are on Asana and in my planner, and knock those tasks out. And then after the kids get up around 8 and we have breakfast and I do my chores, like I've set aside in my planner even, that 8 to 9 a.m. is kids and chores. I get the kids up and dressed and fed, and then we do a little bit of housework. At 9 a.m., my oldest starts her schoolwork that she doesn't need my help with. If I have something to do with my preschool or my toddlers, we do those. 2 days a week, 9 a.m. is when my sitter shows up. And then I have some solid work hours. That's when I check email. That's when I check my phone. And I hop on Facebook and clear out all my notifications and all my messages. I set a timer so that I only have a certain amount of time to do that. And my goal is to, respond to any notifications, any messages, reply to any emails, get my inbox down to inbox 0. Add anything that's come up that is important or that is truly and extremely urgent and needs to be done. Anything that's emerging and important and urgent. It either gets added to my list at the appropriate place, or if it's going to take less than 2 minutes, it's taken care of then. But I know that by 9:30, I need to be wrapping that up and moving back into what is here in Asana and what is in my planner. And so it really keeps me rolling, and I have this, habit every day. And that really makes it so that I can focus and that I can stay on task. I'm not getting distracted by what's in my email. I'm not getting distracted by Facebook. And that helps with that focus. And I know that for a lot of us, a good portion of our job requires things like Facebook. But that is why I have it set, in Asana to do outreach for 30 minutes. That is 30 minutes of being on Facebook, talking to people, building my brand, replying to things that are going to help, questions in groups that are going to help build my authority and get my name out there. Generally helping people and providing value. That time is built in to do that without distracting from the rest of my time. And if anybody wants, I can, let's see, I can open this up to where you guys can actually see this template and copy it into your own Asana if you want something to work from. Or if you go back and replay this, you can hit pause on this spot and copy it out, whatever you would like to do. And also, if you're not a huge fan of Asana, you can do something similar to this checklist in Evernote. It used to be like true Evernote hardcore believer. I used it for everything. I still use it for some things, but not nearly as much as I use it for Asana. I still draft all my blog posts over there though. But I really prefer Asana for checklists just because it puts it all on the calendar and it gives me the daily rundown emails and that kind of thing as well. I'm hoping you guys are finding this useful. I know it's a lot to swallow. Let me go back over here and see if I missed anything, because this is just devising your structure and keeping you on track. You also want to do kind of a weekly review too. My habit is on Sunday nights, and I'll be doing this shortly after I get off here with you guys, as I sit down and kind of plan for my week overall. I no longer use a weekly planner page because I do most of my weekly planning in Asana, but on Sunday nights I like to sit and kind of fill out any appointments I have for the week or things I need to get done for the week. I tend to make a big sticky note and put it on the first day of the week, and it just kind of moves throughout the pages with me. If there's some bigger cleaning tasks that aren't really part of my daily routine, or certain things like that I know I need to get done. That way I can kind of see that as well, but I plan it out on Sunday so I can look over the week as a whole and make sure I'm not overbooking any certain days or forgetting any appointments that might interfere with my daily routine. If I have an appointment that I need to run out and do while the sitter's here, then I'm obviously losing part of my work hours, and I need to make sure I account for that, and I'm not planning on having 4 work hours when actually I'm going to end up spending 2 of those, away from my office and away from my desk and not being able to actually work. And having that Sunday sit down, make sure that I'm caught up on that and I'm not overlooking and not overbooking. Okay, so my last step as part of this is plan for success. make sure that you're building in these milestones, especially on big projects. Build in some kind of reward, some kind of goal, some kind of milestone. Usually around the 2/3 mark, it's a really great place to do this. Don't save it for the final. Like, you need a sigh of relief mark is what I call it. The, oh my God, we're in the home stretch. That's kind of how it's the sigh of relief spot about 2/3 of the way through. And reward yourself there, especially if you have a team too, because you got to keep them motivated. We're really doing that with Midwest Influencers Conference. We've kind of set some milestones, like the day that we had that last contract come in for our speakers, we had, we all had our little happy dance moment of, hey, that's a big thing we got done. And we've kind of built those in along the way of little places to stop and celebrate where we're at with it. Also, and this is a overall planning trick, do this in your planner. You hear people all the time, I write down tasks I've already completed just so I can check them off. And that is a totally legit thing to do, because it gives you that boost. It gives you a little bit more self-confidence. You're building progress in so that you don't feel like you're starting from scratch, because you can see the things you've already done. This is why a lot of us really like paper planners, is because we can cross them off, and as we're looking at things we still have to do, we can see the progress we've had for the day. That's actually probably one of the big reasons that I still use a paper planner in conjunction with Asana, is because I have that physical reward of checking these things off as I go. And you really need that, and you want to build these things in. That's another reason I suggest using the little subtasks in here, because they're a lot faster to check off, and the more you have to check off, the easier it goes, and the more motivated you are to keep going. So a tab delete gets rid of your lines when you're in Asana. You can always concentrate on figuring out what is the next logical step. If you kind of get stuck and overwhelmed, you can kind of just zone in and figure out, okay, I need to finish this and I need to finish this. You don't need to look further down the list. You concentrate on that one little chunk. And it can really help keep you focused when you start feeling overwhelmed. And the biggest thing, guys, stop telling yourself that you're inconsistent or unorganized or bad at follow through. You're just beating yourself up. And there's no reason to do that. It's not getting you anywhere. So instead of doing those, you focus on the next logical step. Okay, you are organized. You can be consistent, and you can follow through. You just need to do it. And I know that's easier said than done, but it really is the truth of it. And I'm speaking from experience. I'm someone that has battled that and battled that and battled that. All right, so we've kind of gone over Asana. I've kind of showed you how I put some of these things together in my life. And I have some other project planning tools that I use too, like my big whiteboard and my big calendar in here, but they really take a back seat to what you're seeing on my screen right now. Just organizing my projects in here has given me such a relief, because it forces me to set a date. It forces me to delegate when necessary, and kind of zeroes out different things. So I really encourage you guys to use some sort of system like this. You can do it in Asana, you can do it in Evernote. Again, Asana's free. Evernote has a free version as well. If you use a paper planner, that works too, but make sure you're following these same steps, defining your project, figuring out the moving parts, creating your timeline, and making sure that you're building in ways to stay on track and plan for success. Those really carry through no matter what system you use, but you need to pick a system and you need to stick with it. And I know, we've all been on the epic hunt for the perfect planner and that kind of thing, and you may need some experimentation, but don't give before you've given yourself a chance to adjust to it. So I really hope that this has helped you guys out. And if you have any questions, go ahead and pop them over in chat. And hopefully I've kind of helped you guys a little bit here. I have been seeing over and over again from people is finding the time to work with young kids. And that's one of those reasons I was telling you guys that I have set my routine up so well. And I have really little kids. I have a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, 2-year-old twins, and a 5-month-old. And they don't really get schedules. I've tried, and especially babies, I mean, they kind of form their own schedules. You can get them into a little bit of a routine, but, they don't understand, okay, it's 3 o'clock, it's time to take your nap. It's not realistic. And so what we've done is kind of routines that are triggered. 8 o'clock may not be the time every day when they get up. It tends to be, my 4-year or Yeah, my 4-year-old tends to kind of roll out earlier than that. And I've kind of trained him to, he can play on his Kindle, he can play quietly, he can read books, but he's got to give me a certain amount of time before I'm ready to move on to getting them dressed and breakfast and all of that. And, no matter what time we're done with breakfast, we know right after breakfast, we're going to, put away laundry, we're going to pick up and vacuum like we have. They know that when breakfast is done, we're going to do housework. And it may take a little bit longer than others some days. And the same thing goes, whatever time we have lunch, they know that after lunch, we're going to, before lunch, we're going to pick up the toys. We're going to eat lunch. After lunch, we're going to do this. And we've kind of rolled these little routines where they may not happen at the exact same time every day, but everything happens in the exact same order every day for the most part. And I've kind of trained myself around that to put my work hours in there. So I try and get up early, baby willing. I try and get up before the kids and build in some work hours there. I try to make sure, one thing that we've really done with our kids is make sure that they can play on their own and they don't expect to be entertained all the time. So we have kind of that built into to where I know that, especially during the morning, they're really good at self-entertaining, and I can make sure that I get a little bit of work done there. But I also know that I don't want to schedule work that involves being on the phone or a lot of concentration where I can't be interrupted and get up. But I know that, and so I'm able to schedule out my day based on that. Then I know on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm going to have my sitter for 4 hours each day. So that's when I can schedule calls. I can schedule things where I just can't be interrupted, because I know I have that block of time. And the same thing goes for after the kids go to bed. Again, baby willing, but at least I have my husband also to kind of help and make sure that we are, that time is built in, and I know that I can use it if I need to. So, finding time to work with young kids is definitely not the easiest thing to do, but routines, and making sure that you're planning the tasks to fit the time you have available in the routines. If you only have 2 hours during nap time, you're definitely not going to fit 4 hours of work into it. And that's why you see that little time budget on my template, so that I can quickly see that, this is all the time I have. And if I have something else that comes up that needs to be done during that time, I have to make up for it somewhere else. And so that's definitely an important step. And again, knowing if you're working on tasks where you can or can't be interrupted and fitting them into the right part of your routine helps. So I hope that has been helpful. And I'm not really seeing any other questions quite yet. So I really want to encourage you guys to join our Facebook group. It is very, very, very helpful. Definitely a place where you can ask questions. And I will get you guys a link to that real quick. If you have not joined, do join. I will put the link over here in chat. This is our Making Money Through Blogging Facebook group, where you guys can ask questions about anything that has to do with working from home, blogging. It's our place to support each other. I founded Beam Media in December with my wonderful friend and now business partner, Amanda Faulkner. And it's our place that we want bloggers, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs to be able to come together and learn how to make money in this online world that centers around blogging. And we want you guys to feel supported and able to ask questions and get the training you need to make this successful, so you can reach whatever your dream is. For us, it's retiring my husband and being able to travel and spend more time as a family. And for you, it may just be paying off debt. It may be being able to quit your daytime job so you can stay home. Whatever it is, we want to enable you and give you the tools to work towards that in what is not a judgmental realm, which is some of the blogosphere has become. So definitely come on over and join our group. You'll be seeing a lot more workshops like this from us, and lots of trainings and opportunities with this. So definitely encourage you to come join. If you come up with any other questions that haven't been answered in here today, be sure to pop them over there in the group, and we will be there to answer them for you. And if anybody's interested in like a more in-depth Asana workshop, I will be happy to give one. Just let me know. And I think that is it for the day. I know we're right there at the hour mark. See you all later. Have a wonderful day.